Today, for inquiry, we're going to measure our footprint while flying around. Okay, so what is a carbon footprint? They want you to watch this and then write at least 3 ways that people can reduce their carbon footprint. And it says one of the biggest impacts on the environment is transportation. And if any of you know anything about coronavirus, we know that that carbon footprint has dropped dramatically. So press pause and watch this. Oh, let's watch this clip now. Let's put it on. Okay.
How big is your carbon footprint? Let's have a look at a few key things you can do to reduce it. Check out your water, waste, energy, transport, and food consumption to see what contributes to your footprint. Water is fundamentally essential to all life on Earth. But did you know that fresh water is only 3% of the world's water, of which only 0.3% is usable? Shockingly, 95% of all household water is wasted. Your normal shower head wastes 30 liters of water per shower. Change to a WaterWise shower head to save water. The average person produces 2 kilograms of waste per day. We need to reduce, reuse, recycle, and upcycle to produce less waste. Try upcycling to reduce your waste, finding creative ways to reuse your old stuff. Separate out rubbish into paper, plastic, glass, and metal and recycle them. Everything we do uses electricity. Your geyser uses a staggering 40% of your household energy. You can dramatically reduce your energy usage by installing a solar geyser. The average city dweller spends 2 hours a day commuting to and from work. What a waste of time and CO2. Don't drive. Take the bus, train, or bike around. By taking the train or bus instead of driving your car, you can free yourself to do other things with your time. If you have to drive, try carpooling. Just as everything you do uses energy and water, so does the food you eat. Food miles is a term which refers to the distance your food is transported from the farm to your plate. Eat local to reduce your food miles. Many staple foods, such as meat and cheese, have a higher carbon footprint than others. Going vegetarian for just 1 day a week would save 864 kilograms of CO2 a week and 360,000 liters of water. So, by reducing your water, waste, energy, transport, and food usage habits, you can minimize your carbon footprint. Your small-scale decisions can help shape a more sustainable world for all life on Earth.
Well, there you have it, kids. So let's press the back button and let's go back to what we're doing. Where's my mouse? So the question was, write at least 3 ways that people can reduce their carbon footprint. Let's see. 1, become a vegetarian for a day. 2, think about your public transport, how you use it. And 3, you guys can think about that one for yourself. All right, so how long does it take to travel from Melbourne to Brisbane? So you need to draw out this table, okay? Open up Google Maps. I'll draw out the table first and then do your guesses. Then open up Google Maps and it says, guess how many hours it would take to get from Melbourne to Brisbane using each mode of transportation on your table. Record your guesses on the table and use these links here. Can I just tell you, to drive from Melbourne to Sydney takes 9 hours. This is quite difficult. Give it a go. Have some fun with it. If it's too hard, that's okay. You can just click on that link and you can just have a look. Look at that. From Melbourne, walking to Brisbane, 326 hours. Figure out how long that is in days. All right, next one, number 3. What are the major cities of Australia's states and territories? During this task, you are going to use a map to work out the path of a flight from Sydney to Melbourne. Before you can do this, you need to be able to identify Australia's capital cities. So they want you to print a copy of the political map of Australia so you can, and label the major cities. If you can't print, because not everyone can print, you can just write down what are the major capitals and where you would find them. So Western Australia, what's the major capital there? You could write Western Australia, capital city is, hint, hint, Perth. Okay, so don't feel like you have to download that if you can't. And then you're going to use a flight path. So visit Sydney to Melbourne flight. Use the map to record the following information on your printed copy of that map. Okay, let's have a look at that, kiddos. Because it's not always easy to print out, is it? All right, so the name of the city, I'll show you. Whoa. See if I can move my screen over for you guys so you can see what I'm looking at. Okay. So I am in Melbourne. Enter 2 or more airports. So Sydney to Melbourne. How about Melbourne to Darwin? Because I already know Darwin. And then I guess I press enter. And there we go. And that's 3,124 kilometres. So have some fun with that. You can go all over Australia and figure all that out. Plan your next trip when we're out of COVID-19 and we're able to come out of isolation. Next thing, how can you calculate the carbon emissions released into the atmosphere from a flight? It is important that we know how big our environmental footprint is so that we can make informed choices to reduce it where possible. Visit the carbon emissions calculator and use the tool to work out the emissions released into the atmosphere during a flight from Melbourne to Sydney. Write down the amount of carbon dioxide each passenger would use on a trip from Melbourne to Sydney. Let's have a look at this. Wow. Let's see. Melbourne to round trip. Is it one way or round trip? Let's go back. Trip, just one way, kiddos. Let's go back to that. It's a one-way trip. Well, I'm only going by myself. I'm going from Melbourne to Sydney. If it doesn't, try again. Sydney. Wow. Oh, well. Maybe we'll go. Let's see what's here, guys. Surprised we don't have anything. Got Flinders Island. Where else could it be? New South Wales? No. Add new leg. Add new leg button. Okay. Let's do this, guys. Let's try this. Sydney. From city to city. Well, this isn't fun. We're going to Wollongong. Okay. Oh, look. And then we can go to Brisbane. Why not? Let's go from Wollongong to Brisbane. So, aircraft fuel burn, total passengers burn. Well, this has got some information. And that's where we went. And what's the reason we're doing this? It's to know how much we use. If this is too hard, I actually give you permission to not worry about it. And then what I want you to do is I want you to click that you've done it. I have to tell you, kids, just quickly, because I hate the idea that our world produces fear, is you don't have to worry because God is in control. Obviously, be diligent, be stewards of what we have, be wise, don't be unwise. It would be foolish for 4 people at the same residence to be travelling all off to KFC to jump in separate cars. That would be just idiocy. So we would jump in the one car. So it's about doing smart things like that. And if KFC was right next door, you wouldn't actually drive out of your house and drive to KFC. No, you would walk there. So it's about being smart and being wise and valuing what we have. Have fun with inquiry.